Hey guys, Matt here. Today we're going to talk about rep ranges specifically for hypertrophy. So the research tells us that anything from 5 reps on, as long as those sets are taken close to failure, can be effective for building muscle. But that's kind of the key, is taking the sets close to failure. When we're aiming for hypertrophy, we're not really talking about reps. What we're talking about is recruiting as many muscle fibers as we can and fatiguing them. So this is where that number 5 comes into play. Anything less than 5 reps, so your doubles, your triples, those are going to train more strength and or power, recruiting more of your neurological system and trying to get that really efficient at firing those high threshold motor units. And we can train that very effectively, but it doesn't give us enough time under tension. The muscles aren't feeling that tension for long enough to fully fatigue the muscle fibers on that set. So what we want to do is hit at least 5, and that's a great place to start, because you're going to get a heavy load, at least heavy relative to your 1 rep max. So we're going to be recruiting a lot of especially your type 2 muscle fibers, which have a good capacity for growth. And then we're going to keep them under tension for long enough that we can fatigue them. Getting up onto the higher end of things, once we get into those, anything above 30 reps can still work. 50 reps could work, 60 reps, 100 reps. Those could all work as long as you can take those sets very close to failure. When we're talking about failure, we're talking 3 RAR, 3 reps in reserve or better. So say 135 pounds on a bench press is what you can do for 10 reps. 10 reps, absolutely no more. That's where you're gonna end at. That means you're gonna get on a set at least 7, 8, 9, maybe even 10, but you don't have to go to failure. You just wanna get in that range where you are close enough that we're sending a good signal that those muscles need to grow. The problem when we get into those really high rep ranges is that other things start to fatigue out. Those sets can get really, really tedious and really boring. When you're going above 30 reps, mentally you can start to fatigue. They can also get really painful. That can build a really strong burn. And sometimes we quit because we don't want to keep the set going. Our cardiovascular system is going to take a lot of load in that. Imagine trying to do a set of 50 on the leg press. You are going to be absolutely wiped out. Your heart's going to be pumping, your breathing is going to be going. So your cardiovascular system might actually give out before you actually fully fatigue the muscles. So 30 reps seems to be a really good high end there, where we can take those sets truly close to momentary muscular failure without having those other things get in the way of it. And we've already talked about less than 5 being not enough time under tension to work that. So if you're a beginner, or if you're just coming back, my best recommendation is to be in the 8 to 12 range and the 10 to 15 range. That's a really good spot where you're going to be training heavy enough that you're going to be recruiting a lot of your muscle fibers per rep, but it's not going to be so heavy that you're going to risk injury, especially if you're just getting your form back under you, or if you're learning form for the first time. So 8 on that heavy end, and then maybe 12 on the higher end of that, staying inside of that so you're getting some good strength along with your muscle building. 10 to 15 can also be great, but it's not going to be so high in that rep range that, again, you're going to be getting mentally fatigued to where your form might break down on the end of it. So if you haven't lifted in 6 months, if you've taken a couple of years off, or if you happen to be young and you're just coming into this, not going too heavy, keep the ego out of it for a little while. Just focus on learning how to do your sets correctly. Focus on each and every rep. And allow your joints and allow your tendons and your ligaments and everything to adjust with the muscles you're going with that before you start to get down into those lower rep ranges. If you've been training for quite a while, anything in that range is going to be great. I love working in my bread and butter is kind of in the 6 to 10 range, the 8 to 12 range, but I love higher rep sets for things like quad extensions, sissy squats, calf work in the 20 to 30 rep range is great. Get a really, really good burn, but you can still load up some weight and get a really, really good stretch at the bottom. So we've covered volume, 10 to 20 sets per week. Those should be working sets, meaning that you're taking each one of those sets 3 RAR or better. So we're taking each one of those close to failure. We're going to be now working in a 5 to 30 rep range, And we're gonna be training each muscle group probably 2, maybe even 3 times a week, spreading the volume out, getting a really good stimulus each time, but allowing ourselves to stay mentally engaged with each set, not going so far into it that we get really, really tired at the end. Our neurological system isn't struggling to really engage our muscles, and we're not gonna spend the week so unbelievably sore because we did so much work during each workout. We're gonna spread that volume out, hit our sets hard, and we're gonna keep on growing. So I hope this helps, guys. Have a great workout. I'll see you next time.